I think we can start. We have one more panelist, hopefully will join us soon. But I think we can make a start now. Good morning, everybody, and thank you for joining us today for this sixth webinar in a series of 7 that are organized by the Iraqi Embassy in London in collaboration with Al-Kindi Society of Engineers and the UNESCO and their funding partners. It gives me great pleasure today to welcome you and the panelists who will talk about the historic city of Mosul and some of the great work that Iraqi entities and protagonist engineers from the city of Mosul are undertaking to revive the spirit of this ancient and great city. With us today, we would like to invite Mr. Mohammed Al-Hashimi, who is the founder and general manager of Al-Ghad Radio, Al-Ghad FM, as well as the co-founder and CEO of Qaf Lab, to take the first presentation and later to introduce his team. With that, Mr. Mohammed, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Haval, and thank you, everybody. Good morning. It's really a pleasure to be with you today, and we are glad to be doing this work in collaboration with you and also with our friends and colleagues with the UNESCO team. First of all, just to give you a quick brief on Al-Ghad Radio, it is a media enterprise that was established in 2015 mainly to communicate with people during the occupation. So to communicate when people were under Daesh occupation inside the city, and the station developed by that time to become a growing media enterprise with more than 1 million followers, and also with a wide range of engaged listeners. And based on some statistics done by BBC Media Action Survey, it achieved the highest average listenership in all radio in Iraq. And right now we have an average of 3 million reach weekly. This is the radio station, and for Qaf Media Lab, it's a privately owned and led innovation hub and business incubator in Mosul. The main goal for this incubator is really to catalyze entrepreneurial economic system by creating viable opportunities and inspiring entrepreneurs. It's a growing private business that we currently have in Mosul. It has established multiple in-house capabilities regarding media productions and technology and research. And one of the in-house capabilities that we probably are going to highlight today is the VR lab, where we have a number of young, talented architects who have been working in the field mainly on using the technology for reservation and also combining that with the communication mechanism. Having both entities working together with UNESCO and work with the preparation for the international competition as an example that we will go today. I would like also to introduce my team who will be joining today and who will be presenting. First, Muyassar Nasir has a bachelor in architecture engineering. He's the head of our media production for Qaf Lab. He's one of the most talented in both the media production and also the VR content creation. Also, Yahya Riyadh, who is our youngest talent. He's a 3D artist who is doing his bachelor in Persian College in Canada, and who we are lucky to have him today in Mosul as he's visiting. And Yahya was one of the first joiners for the VR capability and the team that was built in Mosul. So I think let's start with the trailer that we will have, and after that we will highlight both the role of technology and also how that can be combined with the communication platform. And after that, I think Muyassar will lead on the presentation. Thank you.
Hey everyone, good morning. It's an honor to be with you today. I'm Muyassar. I will give you like a brief description about the Mosul architecture. So Mosul in general is the second largest city in Iraq. Also, it's the capital of the ancient Assyrian Empire. Strategically positioned over the years as a trade hub. So it was like a home for many people from diverse backgrounds and religions. By the way, which is heavily reflected the architectural styles and culture, creating a city truly valued art and culture and appreciated. Okay, so Mosul went through many epochs. The different styles of architecture from Assyrian to Gothic and Islamic render a city that fully details of architect style from a different backgrounds, with a variety of architecturally stylized building, and making that spot as a legacy go from 5,000 years. So we are talking about combining between different cultures and different styles combining in one place. From we had also some sites still surviving till now, right? Like Nergal Gates, Nineveh Wall, Al Tahra Church, Hadba Minaret, Lamasuz, and the great heritage was still surviving till recently. So when we are talking about alleys of Mosul city, we'll find a big contrast between the big and small spaces, and some contrast of colors, shapes, also some merged layers of houses combining together to make some medieval layout for that part of the city, and also make the walking around of these alleys joyful and make you walk for a long time without a sense for the period of the time. Here we can see some culture and historical sites in Mosul between Al-Hadba Minaret, Assyrian template was surviving till 2014. In 2014, ISIS occupied the city and decided to destroy the culture and the heritage of the city. That what he aims to. He was destroying more than 360 heritage sites and making them like ruins. So here we can see before and after for the city. You can see the allies making them like a flat plate and destroying more than 50% of that part. as you can see here, we have a lot of different style of architects, from the church to the houses to some famous mosques, all destroyed by the last war in Mosul. Unfortunately, you can see some beautiful photos that you will make you happy to see that that city before destruction, and make you have an idea how it was going before destruction. But when you search deeply, you will find like several photos available only throughout thousands of years. Many methods was going to document the heritage sites, but unfortunately, you will not find a good amount of photos for the city, especially. Sorry, I have a technical issue. Sorry. You don't find a lot of images that present Mosul heritage and culture. It's several ones only. That make the work harder for the NGOs and for people looking for the Mosul heritage, and make rebuilding them so much harder. That will lead us to the architectural preservation. Through thousands of years, there is many methods of architectural preservation, from the description to making some analog old photos, to make laser scanners and cameras capture these details. Unfortunately, there is some attempts in Mosul to recover that data, but a lot of data was even burned or destroyed because of the problem of the old method of storing that and share it. It's all like a papers and old books. So after recovery, the damaged city, here the VR lab idea become. It was like a group of young architects and 3D models and CG artists combined together to make something new, making some new technology came to heritage preservation here in Mosul. So let me introduce the team for you. Here we have Basma Al-Ta'i and Abdullah Bashar. They are the 3D artist and the sculpture for the team. They are still studying architectural students in the University of Mosul. Also, we have Yahya Rahawi, who will join you soon, and me, okay? So firstly, we was trying to do photogrammetry, which is a method of taking dimensions and data from the sites, and by using some algorithm and applications, combined all these data to 3D model. That will save all the details, dimensions, and the texture of that materials together in one place, and you can share that easily. And then we go to develop that and fix the box, polish that model, modify that to make it easier to deal with. Here you can see some samples of Shurgard Gate, like a site nearby Mosul. here you can see when you combine the drone footage with some high megapixel camera photos with the dimensions and the trackers, you can find a 3D model that you that will preserve all the details and make it available for sharing easily. The second way for our work was about the destroyed sites. We was collecting the old data between the documents, old photos, some old plans and sections, merged that together on 3D modeling programs, and make a simulation of what were towards be like here in the photos. We can see a clay model and a textured one for Al Nabiyounus Mosque. Also in the bottom you can see Al Nuri Mosque before and after the textures. So the pipeline for the process begins with 2D drawings to mass model, and then go deep with the details and texture that model to produce the final result that you can use in different ways and create a fully VR experience. Here we will see the behind the scene for some of our works. Then we will hand over to Yahya Rahawi. He will complete the presentation for our team.
Hello, everyone. My name is Yahya Rahawi. I'm a 3D artist from Mosul. I'm one of the members at VR Lab, and today I'm going to talk to you through the multiple techniques we use to export those 3D projects we worked on and turn them into multiple media platforms to reach out to more people, to make our content more accessible to everyone. So after sharing our project, we got a lot of feedback and engagement from the people of Mosul, because we started as an individual team trying to give back to our community, trying to help to recover from the hells of war that occurred to Mosul, the destruction, and it's truly a catastrophe. But just seeing that the engagement we got from the people, and that our work started to expand more and more, it truly became a way to leave a great impact on the city. People were genuinely interested in our work, and they were engaging, helpful with their feedback, and very supportive, which was on its own a great motivation for us. We also had a VR workshop which is like an initiative we started to try to train more people who were interested in the technology of VR, in photogrammetry, in the process of taking multiple pictures of that heritage, of that historical sites that was destroyed and damaged, and turned it into 3D, and then reconstructed and put it into VR tours to share better awareness about that site. And many people were interested. We were able to provide some professional help from professionals around the world to give some courses regarding the process of creating the virtual sets, which was a great initiative to expand our team, to expand our capabilities, and to share better awareness about and more educational content. We needed high level of engagements, because like VR, virtual reality has its own limitations, as it's not very accessible to everyone, as we want to expand our content more, because let's be honest, not everyone owns a virtual headset. And while we tried our best to held local like booths at local events, or like even invite people to show up at our workplace to try out our own projects with our own equipment, that still didn't quite work well with expanding our projects. So that's why we decided to expand the output methods of our projects. We decided to go even further and explore with media production, with 2D and 3D renders of those sites, combined with a story to tell, and expand it even further by publishing it on social media, and like just trying to get more people into this works. We studied storytelling, which is like, we wanted to tell a story correctly. We wanted to make people hooked to the content that they were watching. We wanted to make it more relevant to them, and to make them like actually related to the content that they were watching. So that's why we had to expand our work to further than the technical details of like photogrammetry or like architectural modeling. So that's why we decided to study more about storytelling and the process of creating a successful, engaging media. Here's one of the videos we worked on and published on social media. So that's, as you can see here, we went to a specific place, and we decided to take multiple pictures of that bath. We were able to then polish that model and create its materials. As you can see here, here's the mass model of that site that we reconstructed, that is clearly destroyed or very damaged. We were able to describe the unique style that was modeled in, as you can see here, which was all through different algorithms of taking multiple pictures and turning them into 3D models. We then took that model and rendered it in a way that tells a story. Sorry. And then we tried to expand even further. We went to Sketchfab. We published our works to Sketchfab as 3D models, allowing everyone who's interested in viewing those sites to try them out, to view them in 3D, and to make our work more accessible as 3D, as the media kind of limited it in projecting it as 2D renders. So we wanted to have that option too, and that really came handy later on. Last March, UNESCO held a competition for the reconstruction of the historical Al-Nouri Mosque complex in Mosul, Iraq, a major component of UNESCO's ambitious projects for rehabilitation of the ancient city, Revive the Spirit of Mosul. And due to the pandemic, the site wasn't really accessible to contestants to attend it in real life, to have a better understanding of the site. So that's where our collaboration with UNESCO came into hand, where we were able to provide everyone, all the contestants, with 3D models of that site, to give a better understanding of it in the context of the old city of Mosul, to just give a better understanding to those architects, to be able to compete into creating a way to reconstruct those that site. We then explored a technique. Here's a video of our reconstruction of Al Nouri Mosque that was produced in that was published in the competition. Then we explored what is called the virtual production. Now, green screen compositing has been out there for decades now, which is the process of keying out a green background, which is pretty boring, to be honest. We had to take that concept even further. We explored what is called virtual production, which is a method of using a multiple software and equipment to combine live action footage and computer-generated environments in real time. Like it wouldn't really need time to render, or like to the process of compositing, which is like keying out the background or like color correction. It was all done in real time. Not only that, but the workflow we created took into account the camera movements and the lighting conditions of the scene in real time as well, rendering a high quality content in no time. That allowed us to tell better stories of our content by simply putting actors in the middle of those virtual environments. We didn't really came up with the workflow, even though it would have been much cooler. It's been out there for some time, but just being able to adapt to such technology and was a key component in the process of maintaining our workflow and expanding our works. We explored many media production formats. Some of them were successful and some of them weren't. We definitely will always work to improve the communication between our content and locals, maximizing the engagement to better raise awareness, which is our main goal in the end. And keep the process of the reservation of such a culturally rich city. Even since we started, we knew that to sustain our mission and values that we started the team with, we had to make sure that the people of Mosul are included in the documenting of their heritage, and we had to make them like engaged, like they had to feel very related to the content that we were creating. Now I'll just show some videos of the virtual production that we created with our sets, and I'll hand it over back to Mr. Hashimi to further elaborate on our presentation.
Thank you, Yahya. So just want to add, if we can go back to the previous, or this one is fine. Yeah, I think part of the combination between the 3D design and also the virtual reality and how to communicate these details with the audience is very important, because I think there is a big responsibility in terms of cultural and historical reservation that will be the responsibility for the people, and it will be something that's shared among various communities around the world who are going through similar conflict. And this is why it comes very handy to start combining these things together. One of the, also in terms of highlighting this effort and make it available for the worldwide to access it, Google Arts and Culture and Al-Ghad Radio, we are their first Iraqi partner. And we worked together on the curation of an exhibition that was hosted on Google Arts and Culture platform. A lot of the content that both Muyassar and Yahya explained during this session were also featured as the 3D models, and also some of the media production that were extracted out of the 3D models and also embedded to tell the story of what happened to the city, and also the kind of destruction, and make sure the communication is also well addressed to reach its target audience. Through this exhibition, I encourage all of you to visit Google Arts and Culture exhibition. It's the Art and Soul of Mosul. in that exhibition, Google also highlighted this exhibition on their homepage in the MENA region for 24/7, and we got millions of visits to the site. And it's our way of making sure products and kind of photogeometric and technologies which are being used in developing specific elements are required by architects, by designers, by media production companies, and also strategic communications, all are being shared and developed in a format that's quite accessible. Next slide. So this is also part of the exhibition. It has a 3D tour inside specific part of the city. It's an imaginary image of how the city looked like before the destruction, and also the video that we showed a person who is inside a prayer hall. That's actually, this prayer hall is destructed, and probably our UNESCO colleagues will probably let us see it, how it looks like now on the ground. Next. All on the Google Arts and Culture exhibition, it was highlighted more than 60 international media channels around the world, and it does a huge attraction, and it's our own way for local entities, for local media and local people who wants to deliver the message of our own city. I've seen some of the people, some of the questions were like asking about what are we, what do we represent? And, you know, like probably they criticize the age of the group that people, I think it's, I just want to say, I think we are part of the community that really went through a very harsh time. Our culture was massively distracted, and today we are seeking for all the people around the world to help us and to help the city to recover from the distraction. I think recovering Al Nouri Mosque and the spirit of Mosul is quite essential for people who lost homes, who lost relatives, and who were really had no chances. I think all efforts should be encouraged, and we are part of that community. We represent ourselves and a lot of people like us who are from Mosul and who really look for a better future. Next. One of the things I think, as it is a collaboration between communities and to try, we don't see the recovery of historical sites, especially with the lack of good archiving content. It's all people responsibility, and we have seen by asking the people to send us some of the footage to reconstruct some of the actual buildings that were destructed. I think this is people really contributed massively to the campaigns, and this helped us to recover digitally some of the sites that were completely distracted, such as Jana Mosque, which is one of the sites that you actually won't find a lot of archives that's relevant to that location, but still it's a quite essential and tied to the spirit of Mosul, and it's tied to its history. So getting the community engaged in this process is done with a good work and strategic media communication, good access to media, and all of that is done on supporting the population and make them part of its recovery, as this will become a sustainable model for the future. Next. Yeah, so that's part of some of the images that we have received from the communities, which also in next slide you'll see next. Yeah, this is part of how the model through these pictures received and some of the old maps we got on the site. This is what the team were able to render and to present, is to recreate the kind of actual site. And then we are currently working on a production inside that digitally reconstructed location to revive, to tell the story to the coming generations who probably, a lot of them did not have the chance to visit many of these sites, and this will affected them like all of us. I think that's yeah, that's all. Thank you so much for
Thank you, Mr.
following
Mohammed.
on this. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mohammed, and the rest of the team, Muyassar and Yahya, for this presentation. I'm keeping an eye on some of the questions that are coming in, and perhaps we can address one of them now before the question and answer session. I think it's a great positive that we see a great interest from young Iraqi architects and engineers and using new technologies to really bring forward the digital aspects of archiving and crowdsourcing to get information available to develop these models. And we should not see that as a negative. It's actually a positive. And with that, I would like to remind the audience to please write objective questions, and we always need to be mindful of the language we are using in the messages. Thank you very much. If we don't mind, we stop the screen share. And now we will move on to the next speaker, which is Mr. Omar Taqa, who is UNESCO field engineer, site engineer, and today he is going to give us a virtual walk of the site that he's working at. Mr. Omar, if you can open your microphone and cameras.
Hello,
and
everyone.
Yours.
Today we will have a tour in Al Nouri complex. Let me introduce to you Mr. Maher Taha Ismail, the representative of the Sunni Endowment, who is the owner of the site. Okay. Now we will have a tour in the complex. This is the extension area of the complex that we add after the destruction. Now we will move towards the mosque, which is the Al Nouri Mosque, Nouri famous prayer hall. This is Al Nouri famous prayer hall. In February of 2019, UNESCO started with this project. We removed about 5,600 tons of rubble from this mosque and some of IEDs. Now we will enter the prayer hall. This is the prayer hall of Al Nouri complex. Where Imam stand and speak to people. This wood, this has been done to secure the remaining parts of the mosque and also of the minaret. Here you can see this wood, the special sections to secure the dome, to secure the arches, and also to secure the pillars. After that, we started with the documentation stage. This stage has been done under the supervision of the staff of the antiquities department who work also here in the site. This is the temporary storage in the garden, and also we have warehouse. All the historical pieces are stored here, and my colleague Abdurrahman also from antiquities department, Dean of Antiquities department. He will give you an interview and a brief about the documentation that has been done in Al Nouri.
Hello everybody. I am Abdurrahman from Antiquities Department of Nineveh. Our work is started to remove the rubbles and then take the stones from the mosque and put it in the warehouse after documentation, all the pieces. We have bricks and the design of the minaret. Also, we have pieces from our excavating inside Al Nouri Mosque. Also, we have divided and classified all the bricks, and this is the pottery that we found it in the excavation around the base of the minaret. This is the old member that belonged to the Al Nouri Mosque. It's original in the mosque from the 11th century. Also, this is our work now in excavation in the east side of the base of minaret, the Al-Hadba minaret. We work in two sides, in the east side and the west side. We finished the west side before 10 days, and now we're starting the east side of excavation. Now working by the hands and worker, we didn't find anything until now, but in the find the 4 level of old houses belong to the Atab era. Thank you very much.
Now, this is Al-Hadba leaning minaret that has been exploded in 2017. It has 2 bases, as you see, the lower base, the upper base, and also has been maintained by the safety measures to
Mr.
secure
Omar,
the remaining part. Yes.
if you don't mind closing your camera and starting again, or now it's perfect. We can see you now. Please go ahead.
Okay. It's clear now?
Yes, it is. It's clear now.
Okay. This is Al-Hadba minaret. It was about 55 meters height. The base about 18 meters, and the rest the cylindrical shaft. This is the excavation done by the is to know exactly about the situation of the soil, about the situation of the underground water, and we hope to see it again as it is and where it is. Thank you so much. And now my colleague Uthman will give you a historical brief about the Nouri complex site. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Omar.
Hello, everybody. My name is Uthman, and I'm an architect. I work at Nouri Mosque as assistant site coordinator. I will share my screen now. I will speak about Al Nouri Mosque and Al Hadba Minaret and the complex in general. Al Nouri Mosque it's one of the oldest mosque in the city after the Umayyad Mosque. The mosque was built at 1170 to the 1172 in the Atabic period by Nur-ad-Din Zenki. It's one of the most important landmarks in the old city, and the people consider it as it's their identity. The Nouri Mosque located in the old city at the northern sector of Mosul. The complex surrounding nowadays by the traditional houses, and the complex was established in the wide land area. This land was chosen by the Nur-ad-Din Zenki at that time. The complex containing the following building. The first building it's the Nouri Mosque, the prayer hall. Here it is, and Al Hadba Minaret, located on the northeast side of the complex, and also the fountain evolution here. This is this evolution for the washing before the prayer, and also here there's some houses in the east, in the north and east of the complex, and the mosque, the complex has been passed through many ages of the interventions. The most major, the most two building major by this intervention is the Nuri Mosque and Al Hadba Minaret. There are no historical record by the 12th century. The 12th century, that the period that built the period that the Nuri Mosque was built in 1170. So in this period, there's no record. There's no record for the shape of the prayer hall and its dimension and its architectural feature. The first description of the prayer hall came from the Hasford. It's an archaeologist, a German archaeologist, in 1911. This is the complex now, the Nuri Mosque, Nuri prayer hall. This is the Nuri prayer hall, and this is Al Hadba Minaret. And this is the evolution for the washing. During this period, from 1950 to 1172, the intervention was removing some buildings was here by the Sunni endowment. Also, there was some buildings here in the north face of the in the south face of the mosque. They removed some buildings here. This is the mosque was like it was before destruction. Okay. This is the period after the destruction by ISIS. Here you can see the minaret was demolishing. All the central part has been gone, and all the decorations, and the part of the upper base in the eastern part of the minaret has also demolished. And for the mosque, it's destroyed most of it, but still part of the eastern wind and the dome. For the prayer hall, that the Sunni endowment demolished at the 1945 and rebuilt a new modern mosque with dimension by 20 and 50 meters. The new prayer hall was containing a flat roof with four minaret, as you see here in the model. And the layout of the mosque has 5 bays in the long direction, and 1 bay and half in the width direction. And here we can also see a new corridor was added to the prayer hall. This was not existing before. Here we can see the prayer hall and the demolishing by axis after the explosion. Here this is the remaining part, and here we can see the wood also that we put to establish the remaining part of the mosque. And this is before putting the wood, and here this one after adding the wood. The only remaining part is the dome and a part of the right wing of the mosque. For the intervention that happened to the minaret, the Al-Hadba minaret didn't suffer many intervention and like the mosque. It's saved its shape from the for the 850 year, and here we can see some interventions, some view interventions. The first one was in 1172 to 1925. There's an addition adding some decoration faces. They add the decoration faces for the upper base of the minaret. This base was not contain the decorations, but they added at this period. And the original entrance here, and there's an entrance also here above 6 meters from the ground, and also there was an entrance from the building was next to the minaret. Here we can enter from this. All these doors were closed at this period from 1172 to 1925. The other interventions what happened to the minaret was in 1974 and 1966. The director of General Antiquities restored the base of the minaret, the decoration of the decorated base of the minaret here, as you see in the picture. There was an intervention to restore to restore and rebuild to restore and rehabilitate the decoration of the base of the minaret. And here we have also another intervention was between the Director General of Antiquities with the help of the Fonda Deli Italian company between 1979 to 1981. In this period, they put like a 1.6 meter height concrete built around the minaret. Here we can see it in the photo. This built was from the concrete to maintain the base of the minaret, and also they add some radial iron tie rod inside the walls of the minaret to make them strong, and they insert also root bolts inside the minaret base under the foundation. And also there's here around the base of the minaret there was a concrete beam around the minaret, and as we see now, when Abdurrahman from the Antiquities was showing us the root piles inside the foundation of the minaret. All these interventions has been done by Fonda Deli at 1979 and 1981. The last intervention was happened to the minaret. It's destroying of ISIS. The destruction of the minaret was for all the shift of the minaret and a part of the base of the upper base of the minaret. As you see, the base of minaret contains two bases. The first one, it's the lower one. It's building from the stone and gypsum, and the second one, it's building from the bricks, and also the cylindrical part was from bricks. All this part has been demolished, and here we can see the safety measure that we did for the minaret. Also, we put here some monitoring system to see the now, and at the site we are putting some monitoring system to see if there's any inclination or any movement with the minaret. Thank you. Now my colleagues Omar will explain you about the Al-Sa'a Church.
Thank you, Mr. Uthman. And Mr. Omar, the floor is yours.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Omar. I'm a civil engineer working for UNESCO as a focal point for the restoration of Al Sa'a Church. We are here today in Mosul, and I'm going to take you in a quick virtual tour in this convent. The Latin Church, or the Dominican Fathers Church, as probably known, the Church of Dawar, is a Catholic church located in Al Sa'a neighborhood in Mosul. It's considered one of the most famous churches in Mosul and one of the important landmarks of the city. It was partially damaged in 2016. The construction of the church began historically in 1866, and it was finished in 1873. The famous tower you are seeing now was finished building at 1882. The church consists of two domes equal size and a large hall accommodating hundreds of worshippers, in addition to the choir. The church also contained before a huge organ opposite to the altar, which was one of the first of his kind in the region. This convent also consists the first school for girls in Iraq, and also a healthcare center before. The church was started to be restored before in many stages. The last one was in the 2000s period. The convent was looted and damaged in the 3 years from 2014 to 2017. There is nothing left of the library, which was a disaster for the heritage. The UNESCO started of the reconstruction and the restoration of this convent in the last September. It has been through many phases. The first phase was cleaning the site, which was challenging because it contained a lot of explosions and tons of rubble, about 1,600 tons of rubble. It was removed in the first phase. Securing the site beside the fences and the security cameras also done in the first phase. We are now in the southern part of the convent currently. I'm going to show you about a part of the destruction. This part used to be the refectory and the library here. Before it was like this. And now it's gone. After liberation, this place was full of rubble, as you can see now in the photo. And after we continued this stage, now it's clean. And we started the documentation and also the damage assessment for the church. We are now doing a topographical and architectural survey. And here our colleague Mohammed is using a high technology devices for doing the measurements. And he will give us a little summary about that. Good afternoon, Mr. Mohammed. Good. Can you give us a summary about your work here?
Hello everyone, my name is Mohammed. I'm an engineer that works in a company that specializes in laser scanning. Today we are in this beautiful church to get the 2D and 3D models of this church. As you all know, using traditional methods is going to be very tricky to do it with for this church. That's why today we are using Faro's 3D laser scanner, aka Focus 350S, with its capability of measuring millions of points in seconds and with accuracy that is down to 1 millimeter, maybe less sometimes. We are going to get 3D laser scanner data, point cloud. Then we are going to send this point cloud to our the team that is specializing in drawing, which will give us the 3D model and the 2D plans of this church. After that, we're going to send it to the team that is responsible for the renovation of this church, so that they will renovate this church and bring its beauty back to life.
Thank you, Mr. Mohammed. Great job. Thank you. So this is a part of this phase where we have the assessment for the exact damage of the structure of these buildings, and also to have all the plans are set and ready to prepare the next phase, which is the on-ground restoration. We are working here in this place in in cooperation with the Ministry of Culture. They are doing the supervising the archaeological part of this job. And here, Mr. Sohaib, can you give us a summary about your work here?
معكم صهيب صبحي الراشدي موظف في مفتشية آثار وتراث نينوى من مكتب آثار.
My name is Sohaib Subhi Al-Rashidi. I am an archaeologist and I'm working for the Nainawa Ministry of Iraqi Ministry of Culture in Nainawa.
أحد اللجنة الآثارية المشرفة على إعمار كنيسة الساعة.
And I am a part of the committee that are supervising the restoration of Al-Sa'a Church.
حاليا احنا في المرحلة الثانية من إعمار الكنيسة.
And we are now in the second phase of the restoration of the church.
حيث تشمل على أولا تهيئة المخزن النهائي للقطع التراثية.
Which means first preparing the final storage for the historical parts and stones.
وتهيئة مكان العمل.
And also prepare the workplace.
وكذلك جمع الحجر.
And also collecting the stones.
والفرش الموصلي.
And the Mosulian limestone.
والعمل على تنظيفها.
And working on clean it. I am inviting you now to watch with us the workplace for the stones. The Iraqi Ministry of Culture were our partner starting this job from the beginning, and they are doing a great support to this project.
والآن يمكنكم مشاهدة مكان العمل وتهيئة مكان العمل.
And now you can see the workplace we are preparing to work on the stones.
معكم ست مريم.
مساء الخير ست مريم. Good afternoon. ممكن تعرفي بنفسك? Can you give us a brief about your work here?
مريم سراج موظفة في تشييد آثار وتراث نينوى حاليا بصفة منقب آثار. حاليا أنا اللجنة المشرفة من ضمن اللجنة المشرفة على ترميم وإعمار كنيسة الساعة.
My name is Miriam Siraj Abdullah, and I'm an archaeologist working for the Iraqi Ministry of Culture in Nainawa and the part of the committee supervising the restoration of Al-Sa'a Church.
نحن الآن موقع العمل. موقع العمل حاليا هو تنظيف القطع كما جنابكم تشوفون.
We are now in the workplace, and as you see, we are working now on cleaning the stones. And after the cleaning, we start with sorting the stones, all regarding to each type. After that, we'll do the specific documentation and sorting for these pieces to prepare it to move it to the last storage.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Mariam. So now, Mr. Havad, so the next phase will be after preparing all the documents and the plans and finishing this storing of these stones, we will start with the on-site rebuilding and reconstruction of this beautiful church again. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Omar Al-Tawil, for this excellent walkthrough, and also our sincere thanks to your colleagues and the colleagues in the video.
My pleasure. Thank you. And now I would like to give the floor to my colleague Anas, who is working on the site of Al-Tahira Church. Anas, the floor is yours.
Hello, everyone. Thanks, Omar. This is Anas from UNESCO, Assistant Site Coordinator, in charge of the reconstruction of Al-Tahira Church. I will just give you a brief tour for the whole complex, then we go inside the Al-Tahira. So now this is the which is well known in Mosul as Hush al-Bay'a. and the other houses belong to Christian and Muslims. People were living here. Now we go inside the complex. So this is Hush al-Bay'a. We have here the Armenian church, the new Al-Tahira church, which is UNESCO is going to reconstruct it. And we have here the oldest Al-Tahira returned back to 800 years ago. And this is the school in the complex. Coming to the Al-Tahira church, UNESCO works alongside with its partners, State Board of Antiquities and Heritage of Nineveh.
Mr. Anas, your connection is not so great. I don't know if you can hear us. Mr. Anas, can you hear us? Unfortunately, it looks like we've lost Mr. Anas. As you can appreciate, the internet connection in Iraq is not the best at the best of times. And to do it from a remote site is quite a challenge. While we wait for Mr. Anas to reconnect, we can take some of the questions from the audience. And with that, if any member of the audience wishes to raise a question, please feel free to raise your hand and we'll give you access to the microphone. Alternatively, if you wish to write a question using the question and answer facility, we can also take that and field it to the panelists. I have a question for Mr. Muhammad and the team at Al-Ghad Radio and Qaf Lab. Mr. Muhammad, you're muted if you don't mind unmuting.
Sure.
Thank you. One of the really interesting aspects is that you're using new technologies to bring the spirit of Mosul back to life. Can you explain a little bit about the motivation behind the project at Al-Ghad FM, as well as Qaf Lab, and how you got together to form the teams?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Haval. So I think part of the kind of massive Nineveh, as it's been very clear, I think, with all the kind of site visits and the introduction, I think one of the things that's known of its heritage, and I think the biggest loss that the city witnessed after what happened during the occupation and probably the liberation afterward was a massive loss in its heritage, and how that's really affected the communities and affected, I would say, will have a big impact for the future. One of the, I think, I would say, reactions and solutions, sometimes it's very difficult to reconstruct a vanished and looted site. But what we thought is about the possibility of trying to recover the memory that's tied to that location by using any existing materials and work with communities and crowdsourcing to rebuild that experience digitally and try to also include that in advanced media production, to make people probably that will last for the coming generations on, probably who will not see, who did not see La Masa in the past in the city, and probably they will not see it if it's not recovered. So at least there will be something that they can relate to, and they can know the story, what happened, and I think heritage, both tangible and intangible heritage, is very important for the long-term recovery of communities. And this is why it was our response, and we work with various organizations around the world to bring this to life. We are working with some archaeologists who are working on these sites. We work with RICRE, who was a company who worked also on open source and to try to recover this, and the Economist Media Lab, Google later. So all of this together, I think, will be very good for the future, and try to provide that with the documentation. I think Anas is back.
Thank you, Mr. Muhammad, and it's great to see Anas is back.
Yeah, thanks. Okay, sorry for this technical issue.
That's very well, thank you.
Yeah, because we are using the mobile data. So now coming to Al-Tahira Church, UNESCO works together alongside with its partner, which is State Board of Antiquities and Heritage of Nineveh, and of course, Christian Endowment, to reconstruct this church. This project, generously funded by the United Arab Emirates. Al-Tahira Church is considered as one of the largest and oldest church in the old city of Mosul, including a school with 5 classrooms for teaching and study, a library, and a health care center. It was built on 1862, located in the heart of the first inhabited hilltop of Mosul, which is known locally Qili'at neighborhood, formerly defined by Ottoman city, surrounded by many churches and mosques. This place, known as well as Hush al-Bay'a, as I mentioned before, it was full of life before and vibrant activities here. People were gathering, going shopping. It was impossible to distinguish between Muslim as people living here. It's common to hear the bells of the church and the adhan sound in the same place. So now we are inside the Al-Tahira Church. You could see the remaining portion, the walls, the classrooms, the domes. So the construction work is quite complex, as large of its arcades were destroyed, as well as its external wall. The church were required as well the emergency stabilization measures for the remaining parts and the demolish of the remaining slabs of concrete. We, as UNESCO, concluded many phases. We have finished the first phase, which is rubble removal, quality control, office installation, CCTV, and securing the site. Now those are the classroom. This is totally destroyed. This is the collected part of the stones from the rubble. So far, we have already started the second phase. We have an experts of Italian team. They are working on the final design and the bill of quantity. We have done all the drawings for emergency stabilization measures. We hired a local contractor with Moslawi people, Moslawi workers, and we have created job for more than 175 Muslim workers. Now I will take you to the storage of Ministry of Culture. Those are the pieces of the columns. We store them in order to use them in the final steps of reconstruction. You see, this is the storage of the MOC. We have here workers working on daily basis. Assalamu alaikum. They are cleaning the layer of fence. And we have here Mr. Ali from Ministry of Culture. أستاذ علي عرفنا بنفسك.
السلام عليكم. علي سالم من تشييد آثار وتراث نينوى، رئيس اللجنة المشرفة على إعادة إعمار كنيسة الطاهرة ضمن مبادرة إحياء روح الموصل المشرف عليها ونظمة اليونسكو.
Ali Salim is from State Board of Antiquities and Heritage of Mosul, the head of committee working with UNESCO in this project, which is reviving the spirit of Mosul. أستاذ علي ممكن تشرح لنا عن طبيعة العمل? Could you please explain the work here?
حاليا بعد إتمام عملية فرز الأحجار من بين الأنقاض، نقوم حاليا بعملية تنظيف الأحجار وإزالة الأصباغ والمونة الرابطة العالقة بها، ومن ثم نقوم بعملية توثيق هذه القطع وتصنيفها وحفظها في المخزن.
Yes, so he said after just collected the stone from the rubble, and then we do like documentation for the pieces and just store it in the store. So in order to use them in the reconstructions, Mr. Ali, ممكن تشوفنا القطع الباقية؟
حاليا نحن نقوم بالتنظيف ثم التوثيق وتصوير القطع.
Yes, we do the cleaning, and the documentation and taking photos of each pieces with the dimensions, with the damage of each piece.
بعد إتمام عملية التوثيق داخل المخزن.
Yes, after the documentation, we give like a code for each piece.
حفظ وفق التصنيف الموجود هنا حاليا. هذا الحفظ خاص بالإفريز الموجود في الكنيسة، الإفريز العلوي الموجود في داخل القاعة المركزية لكنيسة الطاهرة. تم تصنيفه وجمع القطع الموجودة حاليا، تصنيفها إلى كل صنف على حدة، وأعطاء كود لكل قطعة لإعادة استخدامها في المستقبل في عملية إعادة البناء.
Yes, for the next step, they will just specify each stones according to the type or measures. We have the freeze kind. We have the here's the what do you call this? شو اسمها هاي؟
قطع الإفريز، قطع الإفريز العلوي الموجودة في داخل القاعة المركزية للكنيسة. هذا الإفريز مركب يتكون من 4 قطع. القطعة الأولى اللي هي القاعدة، القطعة الثانية هي تركب فوق القطعة الأولى، وثم تجي القطعة الخاصة بالقبة، الإفريز القبة. بعد ذلك عندنا القطعة الثالثة من الإفريز، وفي النهاية القطعة الرابعة اللي راح تكون هاي الحلزونية الشكل، ويكتمل عندنا الإفريز.
Yeah, so he was just saying in general we have different kind of stones for each part of the church. They are so important to reuse them because it's like identity of the church. Yes, the percentage of work you have done here. نسبة إنجاز العمل.
بالنسبة لعملية فرز الأحجار وتوثيق الأحجار وصلنا إلى نسبة 70%، يقارب 70% من العمل.
Yeah, they have done 70% of the work and they are continue on daily basis. Yes, Mr. Haval, so far I have done my tour. The stage is yours, please.
Thank you very much, Mr. Anas, and our sincere thanks to all the colleagues that you have spoken with as part of the tour. With that, ladies and gentlemen, we conclude the virtual tour and the presentation part of the webinar. And now we have the opportunity to ask more questions and receive your questions to the panel. Um, with that, I would like to take the opportunity to thank all the speakers and the panelists. And the first person who's raised his hand is Dr. Ali Al Musawi from London. Dr. Ali, the floor is yours if you would like to speak and raise your question. While we wait for Mr. Ali to sort out his microphone, I have a question for the colleagues, the engineers at UNESCO, and maybe Ustad Omar Taqa could answer first.
Okay.
Mr. Omar, what is your reaction and your feeling when you are working in these kind of projects to rebuild important heritage sites of your city?
First of all, it's very it means a lot for us, and it's honor to work in this project, and also we are very lucky to work here in the landmark to reconstruct the landmark of the city, and also for my reaction you asked. uh, I told you we are very happy, and also we work together here as a family. And also at the beginning, one of the most important goals of this project was to create job opportunities for the Mosul people, and especially for the old city people. We create from the beginning till now about in all sites about more than 700 job opportunities, and also UNESCO plans to make a building capacity in cooperation with the ICROM organizations. It's an organization from Al-Sharqa. Now they are they are in the valuation stage, because many engineers, many stakeholders register, and we will have like a training season, 2 years for the engineers, architects, and also for the builders, masons, stakeholders, carpenters, and this is
Very good. Thank you. And if I may direct the same question to Mr. Omar Al-Tawil, and how his experience on the project is faring compared to what Mr. Omar Taqa has mentioned.
Thank you for this question. Actually, what happened to Mosul did a great harm and hard feelings. It was hurting everyone living in the city, and me as a citizen of Mosul. When the war happened and I see all these landmarks destroyed, all these people injured or killed, that hurt me a lot. I was an IDP out of the city, and I was looking from far there to my city to be liberated, to come back again to this city and to help in rebuilding it. And finally, after working for restoration of many houses in the old city and helping the IDPs to come back to their homes, and I moved back to work. I moved to this project to work on the restoration of these landmarks from different for different people, backgrounds, and different religions. It's not only rebuilding these stones; it's also a message of hope and love we are sending to all the world, to our brothers from Christians and Muslims, to show them that we all working together in these sites to rebuild our city, to have it back as it was or better than it was before. So when you come to Al Sa'a Church, for example, you see the security guards, the workers from Muslims and the Christians working all together, helping each other in rebuilding this landmark. And this, as my colleague Amar Taqa said, UNESCO created a lot of job opportunities for many peoples, including Christians. And this has encouraged a lot of them to come back to the city. And we have a lot of examples of families came back to the city to work for UNESCO and to live back again in Mosul. And this is very encouraging. So for me, it's also very good social cohesion matter, not only restoration matter.
Thank you. And Mr. Uthman, in terms of the social skills and the interactions between the different parts of the community, are you seeing that in terms of the reconstruction process as well?
Yes, Mr. Habal. Can you please repeat the question because the internet.
Yes. From your experience, are you seeing the cohesion and the joint work of all the types of brothers and sisters in Mosul in the reconstruction process?
Yes, it's very important thing to see, for example, the Christian and the Muslims work together inside the mosque. For example, we have some Christian worker working at the mosque, and we have also some Muslims people work at the church. So this is very important thing because the goal of the goal of the project is not just to rebuild the buildings, but to revive the spirit of Mosul and revive the spirit of people to get back to their city. Of course, yes.
Yeah, please go ahead.
For the people, for sure, if you see their landmark again, it will be as I told you in my presentation. This landmark is it's identity for the people of Mosul. Of course, when they say this landmark going back to their city, they will be happy, of course.
Thank you. And if I ask Mr. Anas if he has anything more to add to what our esteemed colleagues have added.
Yes, actually, especially for me, because as a Muslim and as a Muslawis working in this site, which is a church, I feel like a different feeling when you are building a church, not a mosque, because it sends a message to Christian people that we still want you back. We are rebuilding the heritage sides of your like religious. So it's so important that this cohesion is rebuilt again. We all work together, Christian, Muslims, all working together to revive the spirit of Mosul. Yeah, it's this feeling is especially for me because we are working in the church. Of course, we have many of Christian working with us, and they support us as well in everything.
Thank you. And it was really good to see that there's a very close collaboration with representatives from the Ministry of Culture and Antiquities Department. That is an important message, which is an answer to one of the questions that was raised in the question and answer section. And Mr. Omar Al-Tawil has kindly answered that live as well. If I return to Mr. Muhammad Al-Hashimi, if possible, and the team at Al-Ghad and Qaf Lab again. Mr. Muhammad, we were talking about how important it is that social media and new technologies can be used to really send this message that Mosul is reviving its spirit and it's rising from the ashes. From your experience, you've mentioned you reach over 5 or 4.5 million listeners a day in Iraq.
It's a week. We have
a week.
Like
sorry.
Yeah, but when it comes, I think now with social media and with all the kind of accessibility and making sure content is being accessible by various people around the world, I think this is really makes it easier to deliver the messages. So I think the kind of combination between different expertise and professions, that all of them, they will work on producing a specific content for that target audience. It's very important, and also it helps you to get kind of a sense and a feedback of what people think. Try to get their feedback and also adjust your implementation. I think even getting questions, and sometimes hard questions, are very useful, because it makes people who are in charge more responsive, and they will think about all feedback, and probably they will either address it or consider it into their answers. And I think this is the importance of media and how it can really help to communicate these projects, especially like when you speak about UNESCO work and heritage reservation. It's unlike other projects. It's a project that will take years, because we saw like the workers, how long it takes them to clean and reference all points, not like just building a hospital or fixing a bridge. It's a kind of making sure we are reserving what's rest. And I think it was very nice to see the engineers on the ground and see this. And I hope that this is also can be shared on wider channels for also the community to see it.
Absolutely. And I think it's really important that now the discourse and the dialogue is really on the rebuilding aspects, the fact that we are seeing young talent being involved in international projects, and the messages are no longer about the destruction and the chaos of a few years ago, and now it's more about the forward-looking and the future aspects. Mr. Ernest, do you have anything you wish to add, or I just noticed something on your camera?
No, actually, but I just want to say that, as Mr. Muhammad mentioned, this project is not only like rebuilding, it's like reconstructing a normal building. It has like humanitarian dimension for this project, and it helps to revive the spirit of this city. We have lived for maybe 1,000 years ago. There were no difference between all kind of people here. So we want this picture to be back. We want to send this message to the world that we could be together again, inshallah.
Inshallah. Mr. Ali Al-Musawi, you had your hand raised. Are you able to speak now? We'll wait for Mr. Ali to speak, but in the meantime, I have a question for Miyassar and Yahya, if I can. And the questions to you, gentlemen, is it's really amazing to see young talent bringing these technologies that we see very much being talked about, virtual realities, augmented realities, and we're seeing them being implemented here in Mosul. How did that journey for you start as a learning process, and how have you found your experience showing people in Mosul this technology?
We first started like the kickstart of our project was around 2 years ago. We did start with a basic foundation, basic knowledge, a fundamental knowledge in the areas of creating 3D content. We weren't really focused before. We didn't really have an experience in documenting the heritage. So there was a big amount of time dedicated to learn how to create such content, how to preserve the heritage that is damaged after the ISIS war, which just ended around 4 years ago. So it's a very new project. We had to adapt. We had to get help from experts in the area of documenting the heritage, from archaeologists, from even media content creators, to better adapt and improve while with learning, to establish a fundamental understanding of the field, to gain the enough experience to be able to create the content that we started the team to be able to provide this, to solve this issue, to solve this problem, this problem that is in the city of Mosul. We noticed, we identified a problem, and therefore we started a team in the hopes of solving that problem. So that's a summary of how this idea of VR Lab emerged, when we noticed that heritage in Iraq needs a more efficient ways of being documented, to furthermore shed an international light on the amazing architecture that lies within every corner in the old city of Mosul, in the great details in its patterns and colors and arcs and all the architectural components of its buildings. So therefore, that's the main reason that we wanted to start our team for, and to share better awareness about Mosul and what occurred to it in the previous years.
Thank you. Mr. Muyassar, if you have anything to add.
Sir Hawan, the process was not that perfect in the beginning. We already faced a lot of problems from collecting the source for the buildings, to merge that and make the 3D models, make the realistic texture, and make it simplify to share it with the website, or rendered as a 2D render media. It's taken a lot of time. We faced a lot of problems. I think most of them was solved by self-learning. We also have some contacts with some NGOs and people who works on photogrammetry and problems outside Iraq. So we have small sessions about it. Also, we prepare online workshop. I think Yahya was mentioned that during the COVID-19, we couldn't host all the trainers. Some of them was inside Iraq, some of them was outside Iraq. So they gave us sessions for 2 to 3 weeks that improve our works. And when you try something and still consistent on that, you will get a better result.
Thank you. Dr. Ali Al-Musawi, can you hear us now?
Yeah, I always can hear you, but the thing is, I've been cut twice.
You were muted. I think you were talking, but we couldn't hear you.
By your side. Anyway, I raised a question yesterday to UNESCO about the whole fundamental idea about the competition of the mosque, Nuri Mosque. Such a project, such an important, iconic project. I don't think that we all believe, all Iraqi architects have been 53 years in this business, in this line, and working. I love Mosul, I love Iraq, all the. Why they went for competition for a personal opinion? This is a heritage. This is history. This is Mosul is Hadba. So why we got this? To UNESCO again, I like this video.
Sorry, Dr. Ali.
About this, your movement,
Dr. Ali, sorry to cut
Are you with me?
We're with you. I think your message has been received. In 20 minutes, we will have another webinar with the senior project managers at UNESCO, and they will be best placed to answer this kind of question.
Okay.
But in terms of, I would like to take this opportunity. I'd like to take this opportunity to really hear from you, Mr. Ali Al-Musawi, with a team of your experience and the consultancy and architectural firm that you have, AMBS Architects. What help can you offer these aspiring young generation of engineers and architects in Mosul?
Well, Mosul is the heart of every Iraqis. And Mosul people, I mean, I heard all the discussion there between Muslims and Christians and all others. Mosul is a unique. They all love Mosul that has been created by Daesh or by ISIS. This is the first time in the history of Mosul you can speak. Who are you? Are you Muslim or Christian? They all live together. This is the second thing. But from looting. You know, people, if it's vulnerable for all the city, all cities is vulnerable. Second, what about other part of what's been destroyed by Namrud Palace? That palace so well, and you got some treasure there. But are there any activity over there? Has it been secured? Has it been so? This is what and the same Hatra again in Mosul. It's a part of Mosul is all archaeologists. It's all historical. It's a city of 3,000-4,000 years in the ground, and all generation never died. It's still there, living there.
Thank you.
It is
Thank you,
for
Mr.
a
Ali.
message to the youngsters. They have to understand what is Mosul all about in the heart of the people.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. The message is well received, and I would like to ask Mr. Muhammad Al-Hashimi if he has any points to raise.
I think first I want to thank Dr. Ali Al-Musawi for his speech. I think I echo what he said. I think the city which really witnessed a kind of destruction on all levels, but we are people, are citizens of that city. We still have a challenge in getting even permissions to document and do photo and geometric of these sites. It's taken us months to get a permission from the Iraqi government to have access and to work on doing some kind of production on these sites. Some of it is still existed. It has some damage, but like Hatra, I think it's still there. Namrud, I think, was more distracted. So it's a time, I think we want also to raise our voice and make sure like the government of Iraq also listen to us and the ministry to help I think all those young architects and people who really want to work on the recovery of their city and facilitate their work a bit and give them some kind of access. I don't think they're doing any harm to these locations, and they work because they love their city and they love their history, and I think it's something deserves sharing with the rest of the world. Thanks.
Thank you very much. And thank you very much. And with that, I think we are slightly over time, but it's been a very fascinating presentation by the Al-Ghad FM and Qaf Lab team, as well as by the esteemed colleagues at UNESCO. It's been amazing to see the physical event, the physical places come to life in the virtual world. In 2019, I did visit these places, and I can say it's a huge transformation in 2 years compared to what I saw on the ground. And I really hope by the time that we get to visit Mosul again next year or the year after, that we will see more tangible progress and reconstruction happening. With that, again, I thank you very much to our audience as well as to the panelists for their time and the valuable contribution that they have made today. Thank you and have a good day.
Thank you to you also, Mr. Havan, for your.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.